There comes a moment in the eternal silence where everything pauses, not because the universe is confused, but because a decision has been made. This message is not for the many. It is for the one reading alone, for the soul that did not arrive here by accident. Before you were aware of fear, before you learned doubt, before the world placed labels on your name, God observed you in stillness. And in that stillness, a serious decision was taken concerning your life. Not lightly, not impulsively, but with weight, consequence, and purpose. Most people believe God reacts, but God decides. And when He decides, realities shift. You were not chosen for comfort. If your life has felt heavier than others, if from an early age you carried questions no one around you could answer, if joy has often been interrupted by invisible battles, this is not punishment. This is preparation. God does not place heavy assignments on fragile vessels. He places them on souls that can survive the fire without losing their essence. That is why you were misunderstood. That is why you were isolated even in crowds. That is why you learned to be alone, long before you learned to belong. He did not choose you for ease. He chose you for impact. The decision was made in secret. The most dangerous thing about divine decisions is that they are often made in silence. No announcement, no warning, no explanation. One day you simply wake up feeling different as if something invisible has been activated inside you. You feel a pull toward truth, a discomfort with lies, even comfortable ones, a hunger that material success cannot satisfy. That is not restlessness. That is awaking pressure. When God decides something serious about a soul, He seals it before the soul is aware of it. That way, fear cannot interfere. Why the attacks increased? You may have noticed something. The closer you get to clarity, the stronger the resistance becomes. This is not coincidence. Darkness does not attack what carries no light. The confusion, the emotional exhaustion, the sudden betrayals, the cycles that seemed designed to break you, these were not random events. They were interceptions. Because when God makes a decision about a soul, opposition is inevitable. Not because the enemy knows everything, but because it senses movement. You became a threat before you became aware of your assignment. God did not change His mind. This is crucial. You may believe you failed too much. You may believe you delayed the process. You may believe you disappointed heaven. But hear this clearly. God does not revoke decisions based on human weakness. If that were the case, no one would fulfill their purpose. Your breakdowns did not cancel the decision. Your detours did not erase the calling. Your silence did not negate the assignment. If anything, they refined it. The separation was necessary at some point. God began removing people. Not gently, not gradually, but decisively. Friends faded. Family misunderstood. Connections dissolved without explanation. You thought it was loss. It was extraction. You cannot carry divine responsibility while being emotionally entangled with everyone who has access to you. God isolates before He reveals. He empties before He fills. He silences before He speaks. And yes, it hurts. But contamination hurts more than loneliness. You are marked, not noticed. There is a difference between being seen by people and being marked by God. Many are visible. Few are marked. To be marked means you cannot live superficially. You cannot pretend forever. You cannot escape the call. No matter how far you run, you tried distraction. You tried denial. You tried becoming someone else. And yet, something always pulled you back. That pull is not guilt. It is alignment. This message found you on purpose. You did not click this by chance. You did not read this randomly. And you are not here for entertainment. This message arrived because the decision God made is approaching manifestation. And before manifestation comes confirmation. This is that confirmation. Not loud, not dramatic, but precise. What comes next will require courage. After divine decisions, there is always a threshold. Crossing it means letting go of who you were, releasing identities built in survival. Choosing obedience over comfort. Not everyone crosses, but those who do never return the same. Pause here. Sit with this alone. Do not explain it to anyone yet. Do not rush to share it. Some revelations are meant to be digested in silence. Before your first breath, before your name was spoken on earth, before your story acquired wounds, labels, and memories, your soul stood in awareness. Not fear, not confusion. Awareness. And in that awareness, a decision was presented. Not forced, not imposed. Chosen. The forgotten agreement. Most humans believe life happens to them, but some lives are entered intentionally. You are not here because the world needed another body. You are here because a mission required a witness. The decision God made about you was not made without you. It was made with your soul's consent. That is why certain truths feel familiar when you hear them. That is why certain lies exhaust you instantly. That is why your spirit reacts before your mind understands. You are remembering, not learning. Why your life felt heavy from the beginning. Some children arrive light. Others arrive alert. You notice things early. Emotional shifts in rooms, unspoken tensions. The pain behind people's smiles. You were not sensitive by accident. You were tuned. Your soul came knowing it would walk through density. Knowing it would feel more than it could explain. Knowing it would carry weight long before strength appeared. That heaviness was not cruelty. It was capacity being built. The decision was about responsibility, not reward. This is where many misunderstand God. They think divine favor means protection from pain. But divine trust means exposure to truth. The decision concerning you was not, give them an easy life. It was, give them sight. Sight into systems. Sight into manipulation. Sight into spiritual decay hidden beneath normalcy. And sight is costly, because once you see, you can no longer pretend. Why you could never fully belong, you tried. You adapted your language, your behavior, your beliefs, yet something always felt off. Not because others were wrong, but because you were never meant to merge. Your role was not to dissolve into the world, but to stand slightly apart from it. Observers feel lonely because they are not meant to drown in the crowd. They are meant to notice what the crowd ignores. Your soul chose awakening over comfort. This is the part many souls refuse. To awaken inside a sleeping world is painful. You lose illusions before others do. You grieve realities others are still romanticizing. You outgrow identities while others are still attached to them. But your soul chose this path because comfort does not transform reality. Awareness does. And transformation requires witnesses who can endure clarity without collapsing. Why time feels strange to you? Have you noticed? You don't experience time like others. Sometimes it feels slow, heavy, dragging. Other times it collapses, disappears, accelerates. This is because your soul is not anchored only in the present moment. You sense what is coming, what is repeating, what must end. This creates restlessness, not because you are impatient, but because your soul recognizes misalignment. The loneliness was part of the agreement. This must be said gently, but honestly, the solitude you endured was not accidental. If you had been constantly surrounded, your inner voice would have been drowned. Isolation sharpened your perception. Silence refined your intuition. Aloneness forced you to listen inward. Some souls are trained in crowds. Others are trained in quiet. You are the latter. Why you were broken before you were built. You were dismantled early. Beliefs shattered. Attachments dissolve. Certainties collapsed. Not to destroy you, but to prevent you from becoming rigid. Rigid souls cannot carry divine truth. They shatter when reality contradicts expectation. Flexible souls bend, adapt, and integrate truth without losing themselves. Your breaking was structural engineering. The decision involved timing. God's decisions are not rushed. What was decided about, you had a window. A moment in history where your presence would matter. That is why your awakening did not happen too early. That is why it did not happen too late. It is happening now because now is when your clarity is required. Not on stages, not necessarily in crowds, but in influence. Shan or onsen. You are not meant to save everyone. Release this burden. You are not responsible for waking the world. You are responsible for remaining awake. Some will recognize your light and draw near. Others will resist it because it exposes what they protect. Both reactions are valid. Your task is not persuasion. It is presence. Why this feels so serious? Because it is. This is not motivation. This is not comfort content. This is not spiritual entertainment. This is alignment being activated. When God makes a serious decision, it echoes through a soul until the soul responds. You are responding now. What happens if you resist? You can resist. Free will remains intact, but resistance creates friction. Emotional exhaustion, repeating cycles, a sense of stagnation, not punishment, discomfort. Because your soul knows what it agreed to, and souls do not forget their promises easily. What happens if you accept acceptance does not mean understanding everything. It means saying internally, I will walk forward even without full clarity. And clarity follows movement. Always stay with this. Do not rush ahead emotionally. The next part will not comfort you, it will challenge you. Not the kind caused by recklessness, not the kind born from chaos, but the kind authorized by heaven. This is the part no one warns you about, because if they did, most would refuse the path. The collapse was not a mistake. You replay it often. That season where everything fell apart at once. The loss that didn't ask permission. The ending that arrived without closure. You told yourself, if I had chosen differently, this wouldn't have happened. But the truth is sharper and more freeing. Some structures must fall, no matter how carefully you try to preserve them. Why? Because they were built for an earlier version of you, and God does not renovate outdated foundations. He removes them. Why it happened all at once? You may have wondered why the collapse was not gradual. Why not one loss at a time? Why not slow transitions? Because slow collapses invite negotiation. And this was not negotiable. If one area had remained stable, you would have anchored there and delayed the transformation. So God allowed multiple endings overlapping, losses, simultaneous uncertainty, not to overwhelm you but to force surrender. You were holding on to what could not follow you, some people, some dreams, some identities. They were not evil. They were not wrong. They were simply expired. And expired things rot if you cling to them too long. The pain you felt was not the loss itself. It was the resistance to letting go. Why God did not explain it in advance? If God had explained the collapse beforehand, you would have tried to manage it, to soften it, to control it, to keep fragments intact. But this transformation required emptiness. Explanation would have given you false confidence. Silence gave you humility, and humility creates space for rebuilding. The identity that had to die, this is difficult to face. The collapse was not only external, it dismantled how you saw yourself, what you believed. You were worth the role you played for others. You were known for being strong, for being reliable, for being the one who holds it together. But that identity had a flaw. It did not allow you to receive. So God dismantled the version of you that survived through self-sacrifice alone. Because the next version of you must operate from alignment, not depletion. We helped the identity arrive when you expected it. You reached out. You waited. You prayed. And still silence. This was not abandonment. It was retraining. You were being taught to trust internal guidance, stop outsourcing validation, discern support from dependency. If rescue had come too early, you would have mistaken relief for resolution. But resolution requires endurance. The night you thought would break you, there was a moment. A night. A season. A realization. You thought, I can't do this anymore. That was not weakness. That was the old self-releasing control. Breaking points are thresholds. You don't die there. You cross. What was actually being removed? Not your life, not your purpose, but illusions of safety, conditional love, false certainty. You were being stripped of what looked like stability, but required you to shrink. God does not ask souls to shrink to survive. He asks them to expand, to endure. Why the rebuilding feels slow after collapse? Impatience emerges. You want clarity, direction, momentum. But rebuilding is not about speed. It is about alignment. Each new piece must fit the truth of who you are, now not who you were. So the pace is deliberate, measured, intentional. You are being rebuilt from the inside out for his nervous system, perception, boundaries then. Relationships, purpose, expression. If the inner structure is unstable, outer success becomes a burden. So God is reinforcing you internally first. Why you no longer tolerate what you once did. You notice the change. What once felt normal now feels heavy. What once felt acceptable now feels wrong. This is not judgment. This is refinement. Your tolerance threshold shifted because your alignment did. You are not becoming difficult. You are becoming precise. The silence means construction. Not absent. Silence does not mean nothing is happening. It means deep work is underway. Foundations are laid underground. You won't see them until something stands. You are not late to release this fear. You did not miss your moment. You were being prepared for it. Rushing would have placed you there unready. Delay protected you. The version of you emerging is quieter, but stronger, not louder, not more aggressive, but more grounded, less reactive, clearer. This is not retreat. This is integration. Why this had to hurt? Because comfort does not transform identity. Pressure does. Truth does. Loss does. And you survived it without becoming bitter. That alone confirms the decision made about you was not misplaced. What comes after collapse? Not immediate joy, but clarity. And clarity creates peace. Peace creates strength. Strength creates impact. Sit with this part. Let it sit late. Do not rush to interpret it positively or negatively. Just let it be true. There is a moment after every collapse where silence changes its tone. It no longer sounds empty. It sounds intentional. That is where you are now. Not at the beginning. Not at the end. At the threshold. The question heaven is asking you, God is not asking. Are you ready? Readiness is built after obedience. The real question is, Are you willing to walk without guarantees? Because what comes next cannot be controlled. It can only be entered. Why fear has lost its power over you. Fear used to stop you because it spoke in enough. But now, you've already survived. Loss without warning, silence without explanation, identity without validation. Fear has nothing new to threaten you with. It can whisper, but it no longer commands. That is not courage. That is earned authority. You are being asked to move quietly, not loudly. This is important. The next phase of your life does not require announcement. It requires precision. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need approval. You don't need to convince anyone. Growth that is explained too early becomes vulnerable. Move quietly. Let results speak later. The assignment is subtle but heavy. You are not being sent to impress. You are being sent to shift atmospheres. Stabilize others without absorbing their chaos. Speak truth without force. Your presence will calm some and disturb others. Both reactions confirm alignment. Why you must protect your inner world. Now sensitivity is no longer a weakness. It is instrumentation. But instruments require care. Guard what you consume. Who has emotional access to you? What you give your attention to. Not everyone deserves proximity to your becoming. Obedience will look ordinary. This may disappoint the ego. No thunder, no public recognition, no dramatic shift overnight. Instead, small choices made consistently, boundaries honored quietly, integrity chosen when no one is watching. This is how lasting authority is built. Why you are no longer meant to chase purpose. Purpose is no longer ahead of you. It is expressing through you. Your task is not to seek. It is to stay aligned. When alignment is maintained, direction becomes obvious. The people who leave now are making space. Do not cling. Some connections were for survival. Others were for awakening. Few are for expansion. Release without resentment. Gratitude closes cycles cleanly. What faith looks like at this level. Faith is no longer belief. It is movement without emotional reassurance. It is acting while still feeling uncertainty, without letting uncertainty decide. This is mature faith. You'll be tested one last time, not with pain, but with distraction. Opportunities that look good, but feel off. Comfort that invites you to shrink. Noise that pulls you away from clarity. Choose depth over urgency. Always. Your life will no longer make sense to everyone. This is a sign you are no longer living from consensus. Do not translate your path for those who refuse to listen inward. Your life is not meant to be understood. It is meant to be true. The peace you feel is real, even if it feels unfamiliar, even if it feels quiet, even if it lacks excitement. Peace is the confirmation that alignment has been restored. This is not the end of the message. It is the end of the preparation. From here forward, learning becomes lived, truth becomes embodied, and faith becomes visible through how you move. One final reminder: God did not make a serious decision about you to abandon you halfway. What He begins, He sustains. What He authorizes, He protects. What He awakens, He completes. Do not rush. Do not retreat. Do not explain. Walk quietly, clearly, faithfully. You are not alone. You are aligned.